All right, so today we have our school lunch challenge, day 3, and I've got goldfish, a pear, and milk. I took away the sandwich. You can go ahead and turn that into a Monte Cristo if you want, but we're going to be using these 3 ingredients today to make a caramel pear crisp, and we're going to do this in the microwave. And we're going to start with the caramel. So starting with the caramel, I took a mason jar because I wanted to see through the glass jar. When you're doing anything caramel, you want to be really careful not to get it too dark or it'll taste very bitter. But also I'm hoping that when we look at the layers, they'll be really pretty in the container as well. So I already melted a half a tablespoon of butter. And to that, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and stir that around. And I'm going to add to that 1.5 tablespoons of milk. So I'm going to mix that around. I'm going to start in the microwave at 1 minute. It really depends on the wattage of your microwave, how long it has to be in there. Make sure that your glass that you choose is microwave safe. And it's still going to get hot, so use an oven mitt or have a parent around you to be able to take something hot out of the microwave. But our first 3 ingredients are now in, and we're going to put them in the microwave to see them turn into caramel. So I added 1 minute and we have a nice dark caramel in our mug. Okay, so as I said before, when you take the caramel out, it is really, really hot. I can't even touch this jar right now, it is so hot. But the caramel is a nice and golden brown. And what ended up happening was I did 1 minute and then I checked it. I didn't touch it, I didn't stir it, and then I hit it for another minute. If you want it a little lighter, maybe you could go 40 seconds, but you want the flavor of caramel to come through. If you cook it too long, it will burn. So if you're not sure, go for less time. If you're not sure how hot your microwave is, go for a minute and then smell it. If you feel like it smells like caramel, then you're fine because you're not going to really see it once the pears are in it. You're just going to taste the flavor. But if you want to try to get it a more deeper caramel color to affect the color and change the taste of the mixture, then go between 40 extra seconds and 1 minute. I'm going to set this aside. So towel and everything, I'm going to pick it up, set that right out of view, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my topping. So for my topping, I have already measured out 1.5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And to this, I'm going to use my goldfish. So I am going to open my goldfish so that I don't pop the bag, but then I'm going to crush them up the best I can. So as you are crushing it up, you want to try and crush it up as fine as you can, as close to the flour as you possibly can get it, so that it is crumbs. You don't really want to have any large chunks of goldfish, so make sure you crush that up really good. The same amount, so 1.5 tablespoons. Okay, and this happens to be 1.5 tablespoons measure of the goldfish in there as well. To that, I'm going to go ahead and add in a tablespoon of brown sugar and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. So a tablespoon of brown sugar, half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I just measure them at the same time, and I'm going to add them in. I have a pinch measure, so I'm actually going to also add a pinch of salt. You can do that with your fingers. You don't need a special measure. And with my hands, I'm going to go ahead and just mix this around. If you're really afraid it's going to taste like cheese, you could add in a little bit more cinnamon, but we should not taste the cheese at all. I'm going to use my fingers just to crush up any larger pieces of the goldfish. Now you also don't have to do it with the caramel. You could just put those 3 ingredients in with the pear and microwave it and see what happens. Okay, so my dry mixture together, And I'm gonna take 1 tablespoon of butter and I'm gonna add that in, and then I'm gonna coat it, smush it with my fingers, so I softened it a little bit, and I'm just gonna make a topping. So I wanna break the butter apart and have it moisten all of the dry ingredients. So as I'm in there with my hands, okay, I get in there and I moisten it all up. You may have some butter lumps in, but you don't want big butter lumps. You pretty much want it all crumbly. Okay, and we've got our crumble there. It looks a little bit wet to me, so I'm gonna add in a little bit of additional flour. So I'm gonna add another tablespoon of flour to that. So in doing my own filming, of course, I made a blender, and I thought I was recording when I peeled the pear and took the core out. So to take the core out, I told you could use either a melon baller, okay, this nice handy gadget, or a nice sturdy small measuring spoon. And I went up underneath the pear, and in addition, I peeled the pear as well. All right, so you can see that I have this on a towel because it is very hot. I did put it back in the microwave, but before I put it in the microwave, I peeled it, I took the bottom center out, and then I added in the juice from half of my orange. So I did cut the orange in half, but if you don't want to do that, you can go ahead and peel the orange if you're concerned about using a knife, and then just squeeze that juice out of the orange. It's just a little messier right over the pear. So you want to do that on the pear to make sure that there's enough moisture so that you don't crack your glass with the caramel at the bottom. So for 2 minutes, and now I have my crumble. I'm going to put the crumble on top of it. I'm going to load it all up. And I'm going to put it back into the microwave for another minute. Okay, and 2 minutes on my microwave. If you're not sure, make sure that your fork can go easily into the pear before you put it back into that microwave. You may want to do it for 1.5 minutes additional time. But we're going to put it in now for a minute and see how it comes out. It went into the microwave for an additional minute with the crumble on top. And if you notice, it looks so good, so gooey. I wish you could smell my house right now. Pear, caramel, cinnamon. When we dig in, remember it's piping hot. I can't even taste that right now. The steam is coming off of it. But if you smell it, oh gosh, does it smell so good. School lunch challenge, day number 3, challenge accepted.